You know that moment when you catch your reflection in a window and notice something about yourself you never saw before? Well, today we're talking about leadership blind spots, things others see in us that we completely miss. We'll explore how understanding these blind spots can dramatically improve your leadership and why some hidden strengths might be holding you back. By the end of this episode, you'll have a powerful framework for seeing yourself more clearly as a leader.
You know, it's fascinating how windows work both ways. They let us see out while others see in. And that's exactly what makes the Johari Window such a powerful tool for understanding leadership.
Wait, the Johari Window? Is that someone's name?
Actually, yes. It's named after its creators Joseph Luft and Harry Ingham, who developed it in 1955. But what's really interesting is how this simple framework helps us understand complex leadership dynamics.
So break it down for us. How does this window thing work?
Think of it as a four-paned window. The first pane shows what both you and others know about your leadership. That's the consensus area.
Okay, that makes sense.
Then there's what you know about yourself but others don't, your private self. The third pane is your blind spots, what others see but you don't. And finally, there's the unknown area that neither you nor others have discovered yet.
And this actually helps leaders improve?
According to recent research from the Center for Creative Leadership, absolutely. Their study found that each pane of the window provides unique and valuable information about leadership effectiveness.
Really? How so?
Well, they discovered that blind spots alone account for a significant portion of what differentiates leaders. And here's what's fascinating. Some blind spots are actually positive.
Wait, positive blind spots? How can not seeing something be positive?
Think of it like having a superpower you don't know about. The research found some leaders were actually better at certain skills than they realized. They had strengths they weren't fully utilizing.
That's kind of mind-blowing when you think about it.
It is. And the study showed that these hidden strengths can significantly impact team performance. Leaders with positive blind spots often led divisions that performed better, even though they didn't realize their own capabilities.
But surely it's not all good news. What about negative blind spots?
Absolutely right. The research found that leaders with significant negative blind spots, areas where they overestimated their abilities, often led lower performing teams.
So how do leaders typically react when they discover these blind spots?
You know, that's where it gets interesting. Many leaders initially focus only on the blind spots, but the research suggests that's actually limiting.
Really? Why's that?
Because each pane of the window provides valuable information. The study found that consensus areas, where leaders and others agree, are actually the strongest predictors of leadership effectiveness.
Huh, so you need the whole picture.
Exactly. It's like trying to look through a window with 3 panes covered up. You're missing most of the view.
You know, speaking of windows, it's interesting how much they shape our perspective, right? Like how a small window makes a room feel cramped, but a big one opens everything up.
That's a great analogy. And it's similar with leadership. The wider your window of self-awareness, the more room you have to grow.
So how can leaders practically use this framework?
The research recommends starting with 360-degree assessments, where you get feedback from peers, direct reports, and supervisors.
And that helps identify the different window panes?
Exactly. But here's the key. Don't just focus on the gaps. Look at areas of agreement too. The study found that understanding where everyone agrees can be just as valuable as discovering blind spots.
Makes sense. What else did the research reveal?
One fascinating finding was that different stakeholders often see unique things. Board members might notice different strengths than direct reports, for example.
So each perspective adds something valuable?
Precisely. And these unique perspectives contributed significantly to predicting leadership effectiveness in the study.
That's really interesting. What surprised you most about the research?
What really stood out was how the framework held up to empirical testing. They compared it to simpler models, but the full 4-pane window proved most accurate.
So sometimes simpler isn't better?
Not in this case. The complexity of leadership requires a framework that can capture all these different perspectives.
Let's talk about practical application. How should leaders start using this?
The research suggests starting with structured reflection. Take time to consider how you view your own leadership across different competencies.
And then what?
Then systematically gather feedback from others. But here's the key. Don't just focus on problems. Look for those hidden strengths too.
It's like a treasure hunt for leadership qualities.
That's a great way to think about it. And sometimes the treasure isn't where you expect it to be.
What common mistakes should leaders avoid?
The biggest one is focusing only on negative feedback. Remember, understanding your strengths, especially hidden ones, is just as important for growth.
Any other pitfalls?
Yes, rushing the process. The research shows that taking time to systematically examine each window pane leads to better insights.
So patience is important here.
Absolutely. Leadership development isn't a sprint, it's more like carefully cleaning each pane of a window until you can see clearly through all of them.
That's a nice metaphor. What about timing? When should leaders use this framework?
The research suggests it's particularly valuable during transitions, like taking on new roles or facing new challenges.
Makes sense. That's when you need the clearest view possible.
Exactly. And the study found that leaders who regularly used this framework made better decisions during critical periods.
Let's talk about results. What kind of improvements can leaders expect?
The research showed significant improvements in team performance, especially when leaders addressed both their blind spots and leveraged their hidden strengths.
Any specific numbers from the study?
Yes, they found that consensus areas alone explained up to 40% of the variance in leadership effectiveness ratings.
That's substantial.
And blind spots accounted for another 30%, showing how important it is to understand both perspectives.
As we wrap up, what's the key message leaders should take away?
That true leadership insight comes from looking through all four pans of the window, not just focusing on one area.
And what's the first step someone should take?
Start with honest self-reflection, then systematically gather feedback from others. But remember, look for both strengths and areas for improvement.
Well, this has been incredibly insightful. Any final thoughts?
Yes, leadership clarity isn't about having a perfect view. It's about constantly cleaning and maintaining all your windows of perception.